Hey, Crossridge, it is Thursday, and each Tuesday and Thursday, we are exploring the Psalms together. Today, we come to Psalm 8. Psalm 8 is a familiar psalm in many ways. Let me just read it for you. It says, O Lord our God, how majestic is your name in all the earth. You have set your glory above the heavens. Out of the mouth of babies and infants, you have established strength because of your foes to still the enemy and the avenger. When I look at your heavens and the work of your fingers, the moon and the stars which you have set in place, what is man that you're mindful of him, and the son of man that you care for him? You have made him a little lower than the heavenly beings and crowned him with glory and honor. You have given him dominion over the works of your hands and have put all things under his feet, all sheep and oxen, and also all beasts of the field, the birds of the heavens and the fish of the sea, whatever passes along the paths of the sea. O Lord, our Lord, how majestic is your name in all the earth. Well, the structure of this psalm, we could refer to it as a psalm sandwich. I mean, you've had a salami sandwich at some point in time. This is a psalm sandwich, and verses 1 and verse 9 are sort of like the bread that holds it all together. They repeat themselves. But as we think about this psalm, it primarily teaches us two things. It teaches us, firstly, about the majesty of God, and then secondly, it teaches us about the dignity of man. So we see the majesty of God in the first two verses. God's name is majestic in all the earth. What he says is, you've set your glory above the heavens, but then also that out of the mouths of babies and infants, you have ordained praise. It's a wonderful picture of who God is. His glory is set above the heavens and the stars and all that he's made, but also his glory is found in the youngest of children who offer praise to him. But it also has something to teach us about the dignity of man. What the psalmist says is, when I look at your heavens, the work of your fingers, the moon and the stars that you have set in place, I wonder, what is man? Who am I that you should pay attention and care for me? And yet God does just that. He's actually given us a prominent place in his universe. And so this psalm teaches us both a proper theology and a proper anthropology. We learn who God is and who we are. And I think this is a helpful corrective for us. Many people have the idea that, man is sort of nothing. He is just an accident, just a random blob that's kind of existing. But the Bible gives us a totally different perspective than that. It says that we are created in the very image and likeness of God, and that God has given us a task as his image bearers to be his vice regents in this world. He's given us dominion over his good creation. So we're not a blight on the universe. We are, in fact, God's image bearers, and we bring that image to bear in the way that we handle our relationships with each other and also with the world he has placed us in. So we get this sense of God's majesty and our dignity, but there's actually more than that in this psalm. The psalm actually wants us to as we read it, as Christians at least, the psalm wants us to look both backwards at creation, but also forwards to the new creation and what things will be like. And the book of Hebrews, or in the book of Hebrews, the author gives us a perspective on how we ought to understand the full fulfillment of this psalm and who the Son of Man really is, the one who has dominion over all. So Hebrews chapter 2, I'm just going to read you those verses and close with that. Writer there says, For it was not to angels that God subjected the world to come, which we are speaking. It has been testified somewhere. What is man that you're mindful of him, or the Son of Man that you care for him? You made him for a little while lower than the angels. You've crowned him with glory and honor, putting everything in subjection under his feet. Now in putting everything in subjection to him, he left nothing outside of his control. At present, we do not yet see everything in subjection to him, but we see him who for a little while was made lower than the angels, namely Jesus, crowned with glory and honor because of the suffering of death, so that by the grace of God he might taste death for everyone. There will come a day when absolutely everything will be in subjection to Jesus. Right now we don't see it, but we know it is to come.